The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, the 18th of June, episode 114, here on the NOK Network. This video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Muty Booth, with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, along with the one and only Bufo Alverius, who has chosen all our stories for us. Hello, Tara.
Hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. Great to be back after another week. I hope you all had a great weekend. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Oh man, this was a great week. We had great stories last week, great stories this week. It's really freaking cool. This whole the way mycologies are going, studies. I mean, I just seen somebody's project recently that they're doing those NSSs that we read about and a tidal wave and put them all in the same bin. Not that he's trying to, he's trying to clone them, but he's not trying to clone them as they grow. That's probably going to be the last. He's going to see if he can get the two species together.
Very cool.
It is really cool. And a lot of people have been doing it over time. And that brings us to our first story in Oregon. I like that Bufos chose this one because this comes from the Rogue Valley Times, and it is Oregon psilocybin industry, a year old, seeks customers. Advocates say they need to spread the word about the benefits of taking a psychedelic trip under supervision. And this was written by Grant Stringer.
Yeah, so this is an interesting article. A year into Oregon's experiment with the first regulated psilocybin market in the world is short on customers. To attract them, advocates say the industry needs to get the word out about its benefits. We think that everybody knows that psychedelics can help them because we think that everybody knows that psychedelics can help them because we're in this little bubble, but 99% of people have no idea what they could get out of a journey, said Heidi Venture, founder of Hood River Mushroom Center, Vital Reset, where customers undergo supervised trips on psilocybin, the psychedelic compound in magic mushrooms. She was among about 100 local psilocybin entrepreneurs who attended a recent industry conference in Portland. Attendees included business owners like Venture, who run state licensed centers where customers can trip on mushrooms, and trained guides, known as facilitators, who can accompany them on hour-long journeys.
The conference was hosted by the Psilocybin Assisted Therapy Association, a nonprofit that's trying to raise awareness of the health and spiritual benefit, detailed in studies on the supervised use of psychedelics like psilocybin. Panelists recalled the year of challenges, red tape, and warning interest in guided mushroom trips under Oregon's pioneering legal model, but also life-changing experiences for clients. They pledged to share information and lobby lawmakers for regulatory improvements. A majority of Oregon voters in 2020 approved Measure 109, which is directed the Oregon Health Authority to create a legal system for offering psilocybin. Unlike marijuana, customers can only buy and use psilocybin mushrooms under the watchful eye of a state licensed facilitator and in a service center like prices usually range between $800 and $2,500 for a trip, and the two therapeutic sessions with a facilitator and health, though advocates say discounts are often available. Oh, wow. Activists in other states are watching Oregon's experiment closely, including in Colorado, which is debuting a more relaxed system. Like Oregon, that state will license centers and facilitators and also decriminalize the use of sharing psilocybin and other psychedelics. When Oregon's first psilocybin center opened in Eugene in June 2023, it was the first in the nation to offer access to the drug in a licensed setting. The drug is still legal by federal standards and categorized as Schedule 1 substance, meaning that it has no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. Wow.
Wow. The stigma's real. To date, roughly 3,500 clients have taken a supervised trip in one of Oregon's 25 psilocybin centers. The nonprofit Healing Advocacy Fund, which advocates for psilocybin policy and supports entrepreneurs, estimates the number to increase to about 7,000 by the end of the year. That's lower than some observers expected, who predicted a surge of interest in the nation's first legal opportunity to use a psychedelic drug. It's going to be oversaturated. Oregon has 25 licensed centers. Not all of them have made it. In March, the Journey Service Center in Portland became the first to fold for a lack of customers. Unfortunately, we've seen one service center close down. I imagine there will be more because very quickly it's going to get oversaturated, said Tori Armbrust, owner of Satori Farms PDX. Armbrust grows psilocybin mushrooms and sells them to about half of the service centers in the state. She said competition will intensify next year when out-of-state business interests can begin launching their own psilocybin ventures in Oregon. Overall, marketing seems to be a big challenge, but places are doing well, and there's product going out to a lot of people, Armbrust said. Courtney Campbell, founder of the Center Chariot in Northwest Portland, recently told a Capital Chronicle reporter that a steady stream of customers has kept its business afloat, but not lucrative. Oregon has also seen a spike in the number of training programs, which are pumping out hundreds of facilitators. Koei Dualdadi, owner of the Anthrogen Institute, has only been able to give herself one paycheck despite graduating about 70 students in the last year. I'm looking forward to having a real salary as well, she said in an interview.
Wow. I think that's it, right?
No, grassroots advertising.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was another story. Grassroots advertising. Venture, who owns the Vital Reset in Hood River, is trying to attract more customers like many centers. Vital Reset is offering discounts to people from underrepresented communities. However, she said she's hamstrung by strict rules on online advertisement for psilocybin services. According to the Healing Advocacy Fund, a magic mushroom business must prove that their advertisements aren't reaching too many children or consumers under 21 years old. Plus, Venture and others believe that social media companies subtly suppress content related to psilocybin mushrooms. So, Venture is relying on the word of mouth and open house to bring in business. She recently spoke about her business to members of an local Alliance Club. Facilitators said they are navigating a competitive market. About 325 facilitators have obtained a state license so far. Many have found that there are limited opportunities to work in service centers. It's common for more experienced facilitators to find their own clients and work underground, illegally supervising psilocybin trips at home and in Airbnbs. Marlon Halfer, a facilitator at Brain Brew PDX and an instructor, said he carries a stack of business cards with him wherever he goes to raise awareness amongst the people. Matthew Whistler, another facilitator, said he would provide his services for almost for free for certain low-income customers, such as Lois receiving food assistance, but he hasn't been able to find who fit the bill. Initially, Oregon's model attracted wealthy tourists and people seeking treatment from other states and countries. While some facilitators are struggling to find work, some may have found very lucrative, according to interviewers with 10 facilitators. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so stay positive despite the business challenges. Oregon's psychedelic entrepreneurs are often floored by the positive impact felt by customers who use psilocybin, particularly people with treatment-resistant depression, addiction, and trauma. If we just hang in there, stay positive, it will evolve into something we can all be proud of, said Mary Nielsen, owner of Brain Brew PDX in Beaverton. To keep service centers financially stable, Ambrust suggested that the Oregon Health Authority limit the number of licenses it approves. Jesse Sweet, an Oregon Health Authority policy analysis, said the agency doesn't have the authority. The agency is kicking off another round of rules on a law requiring that centers collect certain data on their customers and will seek public input this year. Its new rules could tweak the current regulations, and lawmakers are expected to revisit this issue perhaps next year.
Wow, this is a good. This is a good story because everybody is using Oregon as they're doing it, and
Right.
they're trying to change it and whatnot. And Oregon has gone through a lot of red tape, changing stuff, snuffing it, changing it, trying to make it safe for the community. I know there's a lot of Colorado's doing the same, but the Colorado's getting a lot of stigma and negative from the bill because they just worked it out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that they're doing it, but yeah, I think that there's definitely an oversaturation there as well, right?
Well, yeah, and people are having a hard time trying to find jobs right now.
Right? Yeah.
All right. Our next article is now that we have a state that's been doing it a while, Arizona now is looking at it. And this comes from Marijuana Moment, and it's Arizona bill to legalize psilocybin service centers heads to the governor's desk. And this is written by Kyle Yeager.
Yeah, Kyle Yeager, he writes a lot for Marijuana Moments. We hear from him often in this realm. The Arizona House of Representatives has approved a Senate passed bill to legalize psilocybin service centers where people could receive the psychedelic in a medically supervised setting. 2 days after clearing a final House committee, the legislation from Senator T.J. Schaap was approved by the full chamber in a 42 to 16 vote on Friday. It now heads to the desk of Governor Katie Hobbs. If enacted into law, the Department of Human Services would be authorized to license psilocybin-assisted therapy centers in the state where trained facilitators could administer the psychedelic. The legislation would significantly expand Arizona's existing research-focused psychedelic law that provides $5 million in annual funding to support studies into psilocybin therapy. The proposal would establish an Arizona Psilocybin Advisory Board comprised of members appointed by the governor and legislative leaders. Representatives of the Attorney General's Office and DHS, as well as military veterans, first responders, scientists with experience with psilocybin, and pharmacists would be among its members.
The board would be responsible for establishing training criteria for psilocybin service center staff, making recommendations on the implementation of the law, and studying the science and policy developments related to psychedelics. By July 31, 2025, and each year after that, members would need to submit an annual report on the status of medical, psychological, and scientific studies into the safety and efficacy of psilocybin, and as well as the long-term strategic plan on ensuring that psychedelic-assisted therapy remains safe, accessible, and affordable to people 21 and older. Ooh.
Medical directors. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Medical directors of psychedelic assisted therapy centers would need to complete at least 132 hours of training under an approved program, which would need to involve lessons on the historical and traditional uses of psychedelics, safety and ethics, facilitation skills and preparation, administration, and integration. The bill, which is co-sponsored by Senate President Warren Peterson, states that DHS would need to start accepting applications for psychedelic centers by January 1st of 2026. The department would need to promulgate rules for the program, but it would be barred from requiring specific eligible conditions for participation in psilocybin services.
Regulators could also license psilocybin centers that are carrying clinical trials into the psychedelic that led to a Food and Drug Administration approved drug. Meanwhile, in January, Arizona House Committee approved a separate bill to protect $5 million in funding that's already been designated for psilocybin research for being distributed amid a state budget deficit. The fund was enacted last year on an appropriations package signed by the governor that mandated research into the medical potential of psilocybin mushrooms for a variety of conditions. A psilocybin research advisory council that was established under DHS met for the first time last November prior to opening an application period for potential grant recipients. The grant money must be distributed to applicants with proposals focused on clinical trials that are meant to identify therapeutic applications that could receive FDA approval for treatment of 13 listed conditions. Really cool.
Yeah. Arizona, one of several states where lawmakers could lawmakers have worked to promote research into psychedelics amid growing public interest is expanding therapeutic access and ending criminalization. And that's, for example, bipartisan California lawmakers have filed legislation to authorize a pilot program that would provide psilocybin treatment to military veterans and first responders. Last month, Vermont Governor Phil Scott signed a bill into law to create a psychedelic-assisted therapy working group that will make recommendations on whether and how the state should regulate legal access to substances such as psilocybin and MDMA. Maryland Governor Wes Moore signed legislation last month to create a psychedelic task force responsible for studying possible regulatory framework for therapeutic access to substances such as psilocybin, mescaline, and DMT. It would be charged specifically with ensuring broad, equitable, and affordable access to psychedelic substances in the state.
Last month in Alaska, lawmakers sent the governor a bill to create a state task force to study how to license and regulate psychedelic-assisted therapy in the event of federal approval of substances such as MDMA and psilocybin. Indiana's governor recently signed a bill that includes provisions to fund clinical research trials into psilocybin. Utah's governor, meanwhile, allowed a bill to authorize a pilot program for hospitals to administer psilocybin and MDMA as an alternative treatment option to become law without his signature. Maine lawmakers sent the governor legislation to establish a commission tasked with studying and making recommendations on regulated access to psychedelic services. Wow.
Yeah, a Connecticut joint legislative panel approved a bill to decriminalize possession of psilocybin. The governor of New Mexico has endorsed a newly enacted resolution requesting that state officials research the therapeutic potential of psilocybin and explore the creation of a regulatory framework to provide access to the psychedelic. In Illinois, an Illinois committee also recently held a hearing to discuss a bill to legalize psilocybin and allow regulated access at service centers in the state where adults could use psychedelic in a supervised setting, with plans to expand the program to include mescaline, ibogaine, and DMT. Lawmakers in Hawaii also considered a bill that would provide some legal protection to patients engaging in psilocybin-assisted therapy with a medical professional's approval. New York lawmakers said a bill to legalize psilocybin-assisted therapy in that state has a real chance of passing this year. A Nevada Joint Legislative Committee held a hearing with experts and public testimony on the therapeutic potential of substances like psilocybin in January. Law enforcement representatives also shared their concerns around legalization, but there was a notable acknowledgement that some reforms should be enacted, including possible rescheduling.
Dude, this article is pretty damn cool, man. I already figured. All right, my price tag is $100,000 to $150,000 to be a human tester of psychedelics, and they can record us puppets thing while we do it, and then we'll also make a video for people having bad trips. And our price tag was $150,000 a year, I think. Yep.
I think so. Maybe we can find you some like GoFundMe sponsorships to get you started, so you could like go and do this around the world. That'd be cool. That'd be so cool. I want to see the puppets trip.
Right. As soon as the computer catches up, I'm going to pull on our next article up. Okay, here we go. Our next article is actually, we've been talking about how we do not feel we like the whole testing on animals. This next article is about a first human test.
This is very cool. So
And
this article, yeah, go ahead.
This comes out of High Times, and it is UC Berkeley to enlist human subjects in groundbreaking psilocybin study. At the UC Berkeley Center for Science of Psychedelics, researchers will examine human subjects to determine how psilocybin impacts our perception. And this is written by Benjamin Adams.
Yeah. So the University of California, Berkeley will observe human subjects in a study to determine if psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, and then it ends, that doesn't make any sense. The study marks UC Berkeley's first study involving human subjects with a Schedule I substance drug with no currently accepted medical value. The study will examine how psilocybin changes the way our brains interpret information that we see and pushes us out of our normal state of mind. The UC Berkeley Center for the Science of Psychedelics is launching a new study designed to reveal the mechanisms behind how psychedelics shape human perception. In the experiment, healthy human participants will ingest psilocybin, a compound found in psychedelic mushrooms. All the while, researchers will observe how their brains light up. Each participant will then perform simple perceptual tasks while their visual cortex is monitored for using functional magnetic resonance imaging. We have this incredible opportunity to characterize the psychedelic experience in real time while it's happening using modern neuroimaging methods. Michael Silver, director of the VCSP and the study leader, told Berkeley News. Understanding the actions of psychedelics at a neuroscientific level will generate insight into how they're working as medicines and hopefully will help us to develop more effective treatments for mental health disorders. It will also shed light on some of the fundamental mysteries of the human brain, mind, and consciousness and how they relate to each other.
Before the study, U.S. Berkeley researchers had to rely on animal subjects, typically mouse models, in order to study psilocybin as a Schedule I substance. Going beyond that usually requires DEA approvals. For the BSSP, they had to work for years to acquire federal, state, and campus level regulatory approvals in order to use psilocybin. And they must follow stringent rules for how handling it. How psilocybin shapes the way we perceive visual information. Silver explained to Berkeley News in detail what excites him about the way psilocybin changes the way the process visual information. Silver explained that our retina pick up about as much info in our resolution as a 2007 camera, but our brains fill in the blanks, providing rich detail. The way that we perceive the world is very unlike a video camera, Silver said. While a camera just passively records whatever comes through the lens, our brain takes that sensory information from the eyes and combines it with previous experiences to generate our conscious experience of the world. We make implicit assumptions. For example, the objects that are in one place tend to stay in one place, or that objects that are moving tend to continue moving along that trajectory to help construct our perceptions. Our area of interest is visual system in the brain, Silver told CBS News. Psychedelics are a wonderful tool for understanding this.
Wow. UC Berkeley Center for Science of Psychedelics is underway and staff are recruiting volunteers. Center Director and UC Berkeley's Professor Michael Silver said, "My love is science, not the administrative part of it," Silver said. "I understand the importance of it, but the reason I am personally motivated to do this is to learn about the brain and to learn about the visual system and how we create conscious experience. Visual priors have helped define how our brains interpret information we see. In the new experiment supported by the BCSP, researchers will observe how psilocybin impacts visual perception and how these perceptions are generated in the brain. They plan to test a hypothesis known as RUBIS, or relaxed belief under psychedelics, which proposes that psychedelics work by relaxing assumptions so that our perceptions are shaped less by visual priors and more by raw sensory information. Psychedelic assisted therapy is gaining traction because of the ability of psychedelics to push people out of mental patterns. If you think about the disorders that we have the best evidence that psychedelics can be useful therapy, including post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and various substance use disorders. They often involve a maladaptive prior or belief, such as negative self-image, Silver said. The rebus theory proposes that psychedelic-assisted therapy works by reducing the influence of these priors, followed by the construction of healthier priors through psychotherapy. The team hopes that the information they glean will help to better understand how our minds perceive information and how psilocybin impacts those abilities. We know a great deal about the different structures and the neurotypes in the visual system, and as a result, we have some understanding of what visual priors and sensory information look like in the brain and how they interact with each other, Silver said. And so, using functional magnetic resonance imaging, we can test this theory in a very rigorous way. That is cool.
Dude, just the fact that they're doing human tests now, and oh man, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this.
Right? I'd gladly sign up.
wait, Mr. Hobbies, can we go to Berkeley for a while?
Please. Field trip.
Well, this day is moving so along that it's already medication time.
It sure is. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be back with more articles Bufo has chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters and NOK Network.
Psychedelic Tuesdays on NOK Network. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Psychedelic Reporters. Bufo Alverius is scouring the newswires for stories being reported in the mainstream media on the psychedelic front and passing them on to Hobbies, Puppets, and Simpson so they can bring them to you, our listeners, in this 60-minute video news podcast. Tuesday evening news. Join us for Tuesday evening news each week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all your news and information from the world of psychedelic medicine. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on our webpage, social media, and streaming sites, including YouTube and Rumble.
Peace, news, and views on NOK Network. Patients everywhere advocating cannabis evolution with Kim Cooper and Sir Steve-O. Joint hosts interview people in the grassroots and corporate cannabis space across North America and beyond. Sit down with patients, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, and others share their journey with this medicinal plant. So join us for Peace News and Views, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where all consumption is medicinal consumption on NOKNetwork.com. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on social media and streaming sites including Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.
Put it all away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on InfoWikim social media pages, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses in life and put it all away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. You didn't have the next story ready, asshole. So how was your puffing time?
I'm still busy rolling my joint as we speak. You know how it goes.
Right. So this next article, we read how people are trying to, get alternatives to mushroom products. However, they're using stuff and not natural. So this next article is brought from DallasObserver.com. And the FDA, CDC, these mushroom edibles are sending people to the hospital. Profit Premium Blends says its Diamond Shrooms mushroom edibles will provide a safe and enjoyable experience. The FDA and CDC aren't so sure about that, by Jacob Vaughn.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Both the U.S. Food, Drug, and Administration and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are sounding the alarm on mushroom edibles sold in Texas smoke, vape, and health and wellness shops. The edibles, brand named Diamond Strums, have made a dozen people sick, sending 10 to hospital, according to health officials. People who became ill after consuming the edibles reported a variety of severe symptoms, including seizures, central nervous system depression, loss of consciousness, confusion, and sleepiness, agitation, abnormal heart rate, tension, nausea, and vomiting. Several patients required intubation, mechanical ventilation upon admission to an intensive care unit. None of the people who suffered these symptoms after taking mushroom edibles have died, according to the report. The two health agencies, along with state and local partners and the America Poison Control Centers, are investigating an outbreak of illness possibly linked to these mushroom edibles. The company sells its edibles in the form of chocolate bars, ice cream cones, and gummies, and can be found both online and in local brick and mortar retailers. At least one health and wellness shop in Frisco told us they are still carrying the Diamond Strums product. They didn't seem to know about the outbreak of illness or the health agency's investigation into their products. The company behind the edibles, California-based Profit Premium Blends, did not respond to requests for comment.
The FDA and CDC are advising people not to buy, sell, consume, or serve these products. The agency are also advising people to stay away from edibles claiming to produce feelings of euphoria, hallucinations, or psychedelic effects, as they might contain undisclosed ingredients that could be linked to severe illness. What you should discard these products if you have them. The two agencies say cases of illnesses have been reported in Alabama, Arizona, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina. The products are distributed nationwide, including in Texas. According to the CDC, containing psychoactive compounds such as cannabis or mushroom extracts have been increasing in availability. We tried a couple mushroom edible products ourselves a few months ago. The effects vary drastically, with one producing little to no effects and another producing a full-on trip that reminded us of a mild mix of acid and mescaline. We could see in an unsuspecting consumer taking these products and concluding they need to go to the hospital. Mushroom-containing products have been marketed for promoting or achieving non-specific physical or psychoactive effects. Some claim to increase focus and energy, for example. However, the CDC says these products could contain illicit substance, other adulterants, or potential harmful contaminants not approved for use in food. Common marketing terms for these products include microdosing, adaptogen substances that could help the body adapt to stress, nootropics, or functional mushrooms. Wow.
Users of Diamond Strum mushroom edibles have reported a range of effects. A few of our friends took some of their ice cream cone edibles recently and said they didn't feel a thing. If reports on Reddit are to be believed, not everyone is so lucky. One Reddit post about the products from 15 days ago reads, "I recently had a very bad experience on these little devils, and I wanted to give a forewarning to anyone considering them." The Redditor explained that they have had some experience with psychedelics, taking magic mushrooms 2 or 3 times with no bad trips. Long story short, I purchased the Diamond cookies and cream mushroom chocolates and ate the whole bar, which was a gram and a half approximately, they wrote. What followed was what I can only describe as my mental descent into the fiery pits of hell. That's hilarious. They said it started with the most intense come up high, highly stimulating all of their senses. My mind was spinning 100 miles an hour, they wrote. I became lost in the thoughts of my mind to the point where I didn't know where I was or who I was. They said there was a 10-second lag between their thoughts and their actions. They went on to explain that they lost their mind. Later being found screaming in the streets by police, that they had to be taken to the hospital by ambulance. They woke up strapped to a hospital bed, vaguely remembering having arrived. They struggled for the next 4 hours to come back to reality. I came clear and saw my wife crying next to me, holding my hand, they wrote. Quite literally, the lowest, worst day of my life. There were others, perhaps even sicker or scarier stories than related to diamond strums found on other threads. So what exactly is in these products? Well, it's hard to say. We went to that Frisco Health and Wellness shop and picked up one of the company's chocolate bars to try and find out. Here's what the packaging says is in it. Cocoa mass, sugar, cocoa butter, milk, soy, lecithin, unbleached enriched flour, canola oil, fructose syrup, cornstarch, unsweetened chocolate, natural vanilla, sea salt, caffeine, mushroom nootropic, reishi mushroom, chaga mushroom, and lion's mane mushroom. Now we're not sure what all is in the mushroom nootropic.
Huh. Some on Reddit suspect that edibles contain a psychedelic chemical called 4-ACO-DMT, but the company provides lab reports for its products which say they don't contain any psychedelic substances. The company says on its website, our Diamond Shrooms products are meticulously crafted with a proprietary blend of natural ingredients. It claims there is no presence of psilocybin, the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, Amanta muscaria, another psychoactive mushroom, or any scheduled drugs, ensuring a safe and enjoyable experience. The company's products are supposedly free of psychedelic substances, according to its website. But after reading the package of the chocolate bar that we bought, we're not sure what to think. The packaging literally says if consumed may cause hallucinations. Even more interesting is this. The product is intended only to be consumed in a legal and approved religious ceremony. Consumption outside of a legal ceremony may be a violation of the law. This product does not contain any scheduled substance and is not illegal to possess. Profit Premium Blends says its product will still offer an experience. If the FDA and CDC investigation is any indication, it just might not be the experience you're looking for. Thanks, Jacob Vaughn, for writing this. And that just makes it even more proof that be careful what you buy when buying products to take a trip.
Well, especially being that it claims there's no psychoactive ingredients in it, but yet people are having some pretty wild experience on it. I would have to disagree. Maybe there is no mushrooms in it, but maybe they've put something else in it. I'd be leery buying products like that, especially if you don't know the source.
So one of the main reasons I was happy that Bufo's actually put this as an article to read is us Puppets and Jade were just recently at a head shop where they tried to get Jade to buy mushrooms. And she almost bought the mushroom brands, and this was one of the brands that they were trying to get us to buy.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yep. So our next article is a larger study of psychedelic medicine with 11,441 mind bloom clients. This comes from PRNEnewswire.com. Demonstrates effectiveness and safety of guided at-home ketamine therapy, and this is provided by Mind Bloom.
Wow, this is kind of cool. Austin, Texas, June 14th, 2024. Mind Bloom, the leading provider of psychedelic therapy, announced today the findings of the largest peer-reviewed study in the history of ketamine therapy and psychedelic medicine. The study was published in the Journal of Affective Disorders, and was authored by psychiatrists and researchers from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and NYU School of Medicine, the Institute for Psycholinguistics and Digital Health, and MindBloom. So key findings are all listed there. It was a huge group, 11,441 MindBloom clients, making the most comprehensive examination of ketamine therapy to date. So their effectiveness was 62% of clients reported clinically significant improvements in depression or anxiety, with a 28% achieving remission. Rapid results, significant improvements were found after only 4 sessions. Safety, fewer than 5% of clients reported adverse effects. That's good. Benefits of continued treatment, 84% of clients who experienced significant improvements in an initial round of treatment maintained improvements or recovered in a second round. Millions of Americans suffering from mental health illness and haven't been helped by traditional treatments, said co-author and MindBloom medical director, Dr. Leonardo Vando. This study confirms that at-home ketamine therapy can be effective and fast-acting treatment for depression and anxiety, and shows why psychedelic therapy is going to be the first line of treatment in the next few years. The authors noted the extensive support offered through MindBloom, including one-to-one coaching, therapeutic content, and group integration, drives the effectiveness and safety of the treatment. In addition, MindBloom's at-home ketamine therapy program overcomes barriers like cost, provider availability, and stigma, and prevents people from receiving effective mental health care. MindBloom's program makes ketamine therapy accessible and affordable, allowing people to heal from the comforts of home, said MindBloom's founder and CEO, Dylan Bainon. People have questioned whether ketamine therapy could be delivered safely and effectively at home through telehealth. This study answers that question with an empathetic yes. Wow, that's cool.
Right. And wow, man, they kept it quiet or something, because this is kick-ass. So this is the second peer-reviewed study of MindBloom's clinical outcomes. This study corroborates the findings of MindBloom's first study over a 10x larger sample, and provides new analysts demonstrating the benefits of continuing ketamine therapy beyond the initial course of treatment. The study also used artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning tools to identify factors that predict whether a client will respond to treatment, providing clinicians with additional information to support their clients. About MindBloom. MindBloom is the largest provider of psychedelic medicine, with psychiatric conditions facilitating more than 275,000 at-home ketamine therapy sessions per year in 36 states. MindBloom offers ketamine therapy for a range of mental health issues, with programs that combine evidence-based medicine with coaching, content, and community. For more information, visit mindbloom.com. Wow, dude, this is awesome.
That's very cool that they did it all like from home, and still it was effective and therapeutic and safe. All the things that they keep worrying about with these psychedelics.
Well, and that's just it. You got your therapist, you got everybody's in a safe environment, which is their home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that probably eliminates a little anxiety for people that aren't like to be out, and so they can, so less anxiety in the report.
Oh, absolutely. Being in the comforts of an environment that you feel safe in when being facilitated a psychedelic is so important.
Oh, I agree. Marijuana Moment wrote this article. on GOP congresswomen who use psychedelics for mental health slams the FDA panel's MDMA rejection op-ed. And this is written and published by Marijuana Moment.
Yeah, so this in recent years, a quiet revolution has been unfolding in the realm of treatment for combat-related injuries, psychedelic therapies. Substances like MDMA, psilocybin, and ibogaine are now at the forefront of cutting-edge research for their potential to alleviate severe conditions, particularly post-traumatic stress disorder and post-traumatic stress and post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't know there was a difference. As a mental health crisis deepens and veteran suicide rates continue to increase, it's imperative to embrace and expand access to these innovative treatments, offering hope to those who have been suffering in silence. I can personally attest to the benefits in treating PTS and other cognitive issues through the use of psychedelic substances. While these treatments still carry a stigma, I believe it stems from the lack of education and experience around the clinical use of psychedelics. I understand that when many of my colleagues in the House of Representatives and researchers in this space hear psychedelic, they think about how they were abused decades ago. However, this perception could not be further from the reality of clinical application we are discussing. Psychedelic substance trials take place in a medical setting and are administered by trained professionals in a medical field. These rigorous controlled studies have shown that psychedelics, when administered in a therapeutic setting, can lead to profound and lasting improvements in mental health. Unfortunately, just last week, the Food and Drug Administration Advisory Panel rejected the use of MDMA as a treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. This decision is a significant setback. The rejection highlights the persistent barriers and misconceptions that continue to hinder progress with the emerging therapy.
Despite a growing body of evidence demonstrated MDMA's efficacy and safety in treating PTSD under controlled therapeutic conditions, of which I have studied and researched myself, regulatory bodies remain wary. This decision delays access to potentially life-saving treatments for veterans and others who have exhausted conventional options. The advisory panel's decision underscores the urgent need for continued education, robust advocacy, and more comprehensive research to shift the paradigm and unlock new pathways to healing. Making this news even more disappointing was the results of the trials showed extremely promising results. Researchers found that a treatment approach that consisted of MDMA given in 3 8-hour therapy sessions 4 weeks apart worked better than a placebo in reducing the severity of their symptoms. And separate recent trials showed 86% of participants who got the MDMA treatment along with talk therapy saw a reduction in the severity of their symptoms after 18 weeks, creating quite the about face less than 48 hours after FDA's panel decision. A Dutch state commission recommended the Dutch government should allow treatment with ecstasy chemical MDMA for people with PTSD and called for the government to act expeditiously. Wow.
Right? For the United States to make progress in this field, we must continue to fund research to expand our understanding of the mechanisms behind psychedelic-assisted therapy and its long-term effects. In the recently passed Military Constructions, Veterans Affairs, and Related Agencies Appropriation Act of 2025, Congressman Jack Bergman and Louis Correa and I pushed forward 2 amendments that will ensure that we can make progress in the emerging therapies space. The first express congressional support for the recently announced VA-funded research into psychedelic-assisted therapy to treat post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, encouraging VA to prioritize the proactive training of therapists to administer these treatments in hopeful preparation for FDA approval on psychedelic medicine to treat veterans. The Second Amendment is inclusion of report language for psychedelic treatments for post-traumatic stress disorder. I was also able to secure $76.8 million in funding for neurology centers of excellence to expand this crucial research. This follows the success I had at both the fiscal year 2024 National Defense Authorization Act and the final appropriations bill that funded the Department of Defense for FY24, which authorized and funded a pilot program to allow service members with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury to participate in clinical trials for psychedelic treatment. We must continue to explore all avenues and think outside the box when we live our lives when the lives of our service members and veterans are at stake. These therapies, as a multitude of trials have shown, provide a lifeline for countless individuals for whom conventional therapies have proven insufficient. The growing body of research highlights the potential of substances like MDMA, psilocybin, and ibogaine to facilitate breakthroughs and healing in ways that traditional therapies often cannot achieve, especially in more severe cases, which are often seen in our veterans and service members. It's time we move beyond outdated stereotypes and recognize the legitimate science-backed potential of these substances to transform lives. U.S. Republican Warren Laurel is a Republican member of Congress representing Texas 8th District. He previously served as a U.S. Navy SEAL before leaving the military in 2014 due to injuries he sustained in a helicopter crash. Afterwards, he underwent psychedelic-assisted therapy in Mexico.
Dude, how freaking awesome is that?
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Right. It's like right next door. And I mean, if that opens the door, if Texas opens the door, dude, my state may follow, man, because like they even went medical here. I don't know if it's medical in Texas yet. So, I mean, they kind of watch each other on what to do. And both of them are very like red, very Republican. And so, I mean, if Texas, which now has a few trials at places for different psychedelics, if they keep on moving forward with this, I could see Texas going legal soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think cannabis is legal in Texas medically. I don't know about recreationally.
No, not recreationally.
No, but I do happen to know a fantastic advocate in the psychedelic and cannabis space in Texas. A shout out to Russell Langhammer. That man is amazing. He is doing tons of advocacy down there, raising awareness about psychedelics as a treatment for, mental health. And he even has a heart condition for which he's a pacemaker. So let's just say he consumes mushrooms and they actually help his heart. So there's lots of great research out there. And hopefully, every state in every place will just legalize it. Like, let's just do it.
Right. Let's just do it. And with that being said, thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network, Rumble, and YouTube pages, as well as other social media sites.
That's right. We hope you enjoyed our update on mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Tara Simpson, and to Bufo Alverius for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out. Good night.
Hi.
Dramatic pause.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty